Actually, I'm going to let you into a little secret. Iggy said you'd be walking on mud. There is no mud in Antarctica. Only guano. Only guano. Anyway, I just love today because there's a lot of history in Hope Bay. Those of you that were at my lecture yesterday on Northern Shoal expedition, all 8 of you have seen this slide before. Well, a similar slide. But what I wanted to show you was in this little hut here in the foreground is part of the Northern Shoal story. Then you have the base, Esperanza base, and then in the distance you have an old British base. So we'll go through them one by one. The first little hut here was 1903, and this was just briefly with a Northern Shoal expedition. Northern Shoal was way down south. The ship that came in to pick them up couldn't get in through the ice, dropped 3 men off in Hope Bay to go walk over the ice. They couldn't get there. They came back to Hope Bay, and they ended up spending the entire winter in a hut that they built using their sledge, and erected the tent inside the hut. And this is where they were in 1903. That was the start of things happening in Hope Bay. The ship had actually sunk, and everybody else had to winter on Paulette Island, and then the Uruguay ship came in and picked them up the next season. And the Argentine base was established, well, it wasn't established, there was a naval presence there from 1930 onwards, and then the British base was established in 1944 as part of a chain of bases. This was base D on Operation Tamarin, which was originally to listen in on shipping around Cape Horn, but also to send meteorological reports back, and then it went on to do science. The British base was closed in 1963 and eventually transferred over to the Uruguay. So here's the better, slightly larger picture of the Northern Shoal hut. The 3 men, Gunnar Anderson, Lieutenant Deuce, and Torlav Grunden, as I say, they overwintered there. They said that spent a very peaceful winter there. They would be absolutely black and greasy at the end of the winter because they had to. You saw those seals on the ice. They would have to kill those, strip the blubber off, melt it, and burn it so they could get fuel for melting ice for water to cook with, and they would eat the seals also. You imagine doing that in a tiny little hut with that acrid smoke. It must have been pretty awful. The Esperanza station itself, it can house up to about 100, but it normally houses around about 50 with military personnel. There's a lot of chalets there on the shore for the families. I spoke to some families there a few years ago, and I think they seem to have a 6-month stint there. The ones that get the 6-month winter stint, which is just finished, get the short straw, I think, because they're kind of in there pretty well locked in for the winter. None of these photos I took today, by the way. I took them on previous occasions. And the British base, the original base from 1944, oh, just before I click on to the next one, the first child born in Antarctica was in 1978, a boy at Esperanza base, and in the following 5 years or so, there were 4 more boys and 3 girls born there. I don't know what's happening recently. I don't think they take women out there to give birth anymore. But I guess Chile and Argentina being the nearest nations to Antarctica, less than 1,000 miles, they do have a vested interest in having their bases dotted around the peninsula. And this is in memory of Michael Green and Oliver Burt, who in 1948 were in the original British base, and during a blizzard the hut went on fire and they were both killed. So that there was the meteorologist and the geologist. Thankfully there are very few deaths occur in Antarctica, but they still do happen from time to time. And this is a close-up of the two gravestones there. It says FIDS on there. That's the Falkland Island Dependency Survey, which eventually became the British Antarctic Survey. And I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you.